Fala pessoal, sejam todos bem-vindos ao meu canal. Eu sou a Rai e galera, estou trazendo aqui pra vocês mais um vídeo de Starfield. Eu espero que vocês estejam gostando da série. Caso ainda não seja inscrito no canal, convido vocês a entrarem e dar uma olhadinha nos vídeos. Se gostarem, já se inscrevam para ficar por dentro de mais vídeos de Starfield e de outros jogos que ainda estão por vir. Então, bora logo continuar aqui. Eu já voltei pro ponto da missão. Eu só me afastei dele mesmo porque ele começou a interagir com ela. Agora ele sumiu com ela. Meu Deus, voltem aqui. Ô, gente. Vocês querem que eu saia? Eu saio. Oh, meu Deus.
Lou gave me the abridged version of what went down. I can't thank you enough for taking care of all that.
Ela tá agradecendo só.
I hope it ultimately didn't end up being too much trouble. That's certainly not what I was expecting you'd have to go through. But thank you. I'm just glad you both came through intact. So, were you two able to get that workup together?
Got it right here. That sample? It's an exact match for the ones from Londinian.
Londinian. That's exactly what I was afraid of.
Not thrilled to be the bearer of that kind of news. That's for damn sure. So tell me you've got some kind of plan for that workup.
Well, right now, we've got more questions than answers. So I've been trying to figure out what it's gonna take to access our old terramorph data.
Good place to start. What'd you find?
It's in the archives.
The Armistice Archives? Doesn't that mean we'd be dealing with the cabinet? And the Freestar Collective? And House Varun somehow? Guess we can kiss that approach goodbye.
I didn't think the cabinet would be willing to hear us out either. But I called in some favors. They've agreed to hear us out on two conditions. One, they want to see this analysis you two have procured. And two, they want to discuss what happened on Tau Ceti. With both of us.
Se vocês precisam de alguém para conquistar umas autoridades, sou a pessoa certa. Sério mesmo que eu sou a pessoa certa?
Of course. You deserve the full story. Percival and I, we're not just researchers. We were military scientists, ran a division of the UC together that deployed aliens on the battlefield as weapons.
Battlefield.
Place I was hiding out. That was our unit's home base.
After some early fits and starts at other facilities, the place eventually became the heart of UC xeno-warfare. A practice that's been banned ever since the armistice went into effect almost 20 years ago. And the UC military cut us loose for what we'd done. No, we were both dismissed after the war for what we did. These days, we're just concerned citizens with a very particular area of expertise. Our damage has been done for a long time. Well, it was during that assignment that the UC asked us to explore.
Eu quero explicações, né? Já que vai ter que ajudar.
The project never got off the ground, but the data our team gathered is now sitting in the archives, along with all the other information banned after the Colony War. Under the watchful eye of monitors from all the galactic factions still participating in regular politics. But if we can convince the cabinet to help us access that data, it'll give us the tools we need to decipher what exactly this sample might mean. And hopefully, how to prevent more attacks like the one that spawned it.
Certo, então vamos lá nesse gabinete ver qual é que é.
I'm gonna go get this workup into the cabinet's hands. I'll meet you out front of Mast in New Atlantis.
Thanks.
Good luck. You two are gonna need it.
7.300 créditos. Bom, dinheirinhos, não é mesmo? Deixa eu ver onde que é esse ponto da missão, se é aqui ainda ou se eu posso mudar. Posso mudar.
Captain! Over here! The workup's in the cabinet's hands. They said they'll call for us once they've gotten to properly review it. But listen, I know I should have been more forthcoming about who I was earlier. So, in the interest of full disclosure, there's one more thing you ought to know before we head up there. My relationship with the UC. It's more complicated than it might seem at first glance. The UC's actually the only reason I'm here in the first place. I am a clone of a man named Francois Sanon, one-time fleet admiral of the UC during the Colony War, former head of the UC Navy. They called him Ve Victus, woe to the defeated, in Old Earth Latin, a title he earned. The program I was a part of, it was the UC's attempt to create a new generation of military minds from one of their most respected tacticians. Secure the leadership of the UC military for generations to come. He would have happily told you he was one of the greats.
Gente, é um clone, então.
It didn't matter. The man I was cloned from, my father, was executed for acts he committed during the war. The man caused a lot of death on both sides. Freestar Collective and UC. Military and civilians. And the things he did, well, they're a part of the reason the UC and Freestar Collective aren't really on great terms to this day. So my involvement, it could be another obstacle they throw at us up there. I just wanted you to be forewarned. He had his men open fire on civilian ships during the Battle of Cheyenne. A battle that he ultimately ended up losing anyway, devastating the UC fleet and bringing the Colony War to an ugly end for the UC. But he's also the one who ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport during their outbreak, condemning countless lives. Both sides agreed the settled systems would be better without him. I really appreciate you saying that. I just thought you deserved to know, considering how much you've done already. You know, while we've got a second,
Vamos, Fia, chega.
anything else we needed to discuss? I know you got dropped into the middle of this.
Ai, tem que esperar eles chamarem a gente, né?
If you've got any last-minute business to attend to, now might be a good time. No telling how long the cabinet's gonna keep us waiting out here. Then I guess it's just a matter of...
The cabinet meeting is about to begin. All parties, please proceed to the cabinet chamber.
Oh, ok.
Ah, Captain. Congratulations on joining the ranks of the Vanguard.
Obrigada. Oxe, tava de dia na hora que eu saí dali? Não, de noite. Que chique. Nossa, que medo ao mesmo tempo.
Ah, welcome. You must be the captain Hadrian mentioned in her report. You have our thanks for the risks you faced in securing this information.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yes, well, precisely how urgent is what I hope we'll determine here today. So now, we have two petitioners here making a surprising request. Access to the UC Xeno Warfare Team's Terramorph data, currently housed in the Armistice archives. A request which will require not just this body's agreement, but that of all three Armistice signatories, UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varun. Now, Captain, we've all read Hadrian's report on the subject, but we have yet to hear from you.
O que vocês querem ouvir de mim?
Summarize for the cabinet what it is you see as the goal of this endeavor. That is something to consider. Though we also have to take into account the nature of the data you require.
Madam President, I object to the very premise of this meeting. While no one would argue that what happened on Tau Ceti was anything less than a tragedy, terramorph attacks are not some sudden new threat on the horizon. They've been happening for generations. To demand we hand over banned archival knowledge and possibly upset the balance of galactic diplomacy because of a single attack seems at best panic, and at worst, a power grab by the daughter of a bloodthirsty warmonger and her associates.
I would remind the chief diplomat who he's speaking to. If it's my father you're looking to address, you're welcome to consult a medium. I would also ask how many deaths the cabinet requires to act. 50? 50,000? Because if tragedies like Tau Ceti are just prelude to more attacks, I have no doubt you'll get the body count you require.
Let's keep this civil, shall we? And while there should be no doubt, the preservation of life stands paramount among this body's duties. Chief Yassine has a point. Will a single attack, however troubling, be sufficient to convince the other factions to grant us access to what they no doubt consider weapon data? I don't think it's enough. Perhaps you can help, Captain. As the one who actually collected the sample in question, did this terramorph seem at all alarming to you?
Meu Deus, filha, você ainda questiona? Vai lá ver o corpo dele tá lá.
That is worth considering. This attack took place on an almost completely uninhabited world. The casualties were minimal as a result. But if there's another attack, will we be so lucky?
Yes, a fine point, Admiral. So then, Captain, given the discussion now and the information you've been privy to thus far, if you were in our position, would you grant the request made to open the archives?
If the stakes weren't so high, we wouldn't be asking. But, well, we're asking.
I'm inclined to agree.
As am I.
I suppose that does get to the heart of the point, doesn't it? Very well. I consent. The galaxy was lucky you were here today, Captain.
Claro que tem.
You and I are in agreement, Chief Diplomat. So, if there are no other objections, I believe we can agree to give our full backing to make the request to... What was that?
Attention. Attention. An incident has occurred. Facility lockdown engaged.
Incident. Chief Sarkin, what's happening?
Oh, eu não estou gostando disso, não.
Terramorphs.
Terramorphs. More attacks. Just as predicted.
Good God.
Holy, we need to move.
There must be another explanation. The creatures evaded our scanner somehow.
There will be plenty of time for conjecture later. Chief Sarkin, order the evacuation of the spaceport and have your men contain the things, but do it discreetly. The last thing we need is a citywide panic.
Yes, ma'am.
Admiral Logan, the local barracks can provide support?
I'll make the order myself. Nearest anti-Xeno squad, though, is off-world. Going to take a while to bring them in.
Não é aquilo de novo, não.
We'll have to make do with the tools we've got. You two, we can't risk those things getting out of the spaceport. I want you both on the next train there. We'll let them know you're coming and that you've dealt with these things before. Now go show them how it's done.
We're on it, ma'am. Captain, I'm right behind you. Let's get down there.
Ai, meu Deus do céu. Tá, calma. Deixa eu pensar. Pior que eu não tenho fuzil. Minhas metralhadoras estão...
That's it.
Tá. Sei lá, põe aqui mesmo.
Now hit him with everything you've got.
Ai, gente, peraí.
And down.
Nossa, fia, isso vai demorar pra caramba.
Thank you.
Deu certo.
We didn't want to hurt them.
The way those people were acting. I've seen this before. They were under the Terramorph's influence, weren't they?
I don't know. They were down at the port and they just started screaming. We tried to restrain them, get them on the train to get them out of harm's way, but some of the other officers down there, we couldn't restrain them fast enough. They just started firing on us. People we knew. They went berserk.
Pheromonic projection. Some terramorphs, they can induce this fog.
Ah, que legal, gente. Então, a hora que a gente sair, vai ter basicamente um monte de zumbi lá fora, né?
Turn against everyone around them, even if they don't want to. They're like a puppet. You kill the morph, you break the hold. But this means we're gonna need to be real careful with our fire. And keep that EM weapon at the ready.
Parece que precisamos nos apressar rápido, fia.
That's unlocked. Please, do what you can to help them.
Eu não gostei que essa arma ela é semi-automática.
You might back up. Just stand there.
Oh, meu Deus! Não posso simplesmente com uma granada nele ou coisa do tipo? Aí depois disso, será que eu tenho que matar ele? Meu Deus, meu Deus, meu Deus, ele tá vindo, ele tá vindo. Ai, 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 peraí que eu tô presa.
It's never going to work.
Tem que deitar ele, acho. Peraí, sai daqui.
Nothing's gonna save you, nothing's gonna save you.
Foi. Gente, nossa, que horrível isso. Tu é mais feio do que o que eu enfrentei lá. Tu é doido.
Them? Our experts? We've got the remaining creatures left.
Eu posso... Ah, gente, eu posso pegar tudo que tá aqui, ó. Não tá nada acusando que é roubo, ó. Então, vou passar limpo em tudo. É vida, é... nada.
One fire team to spare. Supplies you need, but
Aqui, ó.
Heard you might be looking for some backup. You say the word, we're out there on your 6.
Ó, óbvio que eu preciso, né, fio?
Before?
Only the brief they just gave on the way here, but we know how to handle pressure.
Surviving a full-on mental assault isn't the same as keeping your cool in a firefight. Might make you more liability than asset.
We're not UC security. You don't need to worry about us.
Quero que vocês cuidem da nossa retaguarda. Sim.
Roger that. We're on you. Anyone nosing around here's gotta have a death wish.
Sam, cadê você, Sam?
I must confess, I wouldn't say no to it.
Depois você fala o que você acha, fio. Bora. A minha nave aqui eu não posso simplesmente pegar e vazar, tipo, dane-se. Não me diz que vai ser outro bicho daquele que vai estar aqui. Ah, ô, gente. Isso aí, fio. Entra na frente. Isso mesmo. Peraí.
Closer now.
Vamos, fio, tu tá de minigun, atira nele.
We're leaving here alive.
Nossa, a granada vai muito pra longe, gente. Que isso? É, um tá sendo assim. Você imagina que tem mais um lá do outro lado. Meu Deus, ele matou o cara. Vai, Sam. Não cai não, Sam. Preciso da tua ajuda. Gente, essa 12 ela não parece, mas ela é forte. Não bate nele. Meu Deus. Quero sair daqui. Tem mais um pra lá. Mano.
Biologist, Captain.
Ele se esquiva. Mano, é muita pouca bala. Olha que safado. Bom, ele já tá quase morrendo. Minha vida. Minha vida. Vai, 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 vai. Não, acaba. Boa! Boa!
All wrapped up.
Thank the heavens you're back in one piece. Well, I guess our people weren't so lucky.
The few protecting the many.
And it would have been plenty more if it hadn't been for the two of you. The city owes you both a debt after this.
We were just in the right place at the right time. Captain, we should report back to the President. Let her know the terrormorphs have been dealt with. Take care of yourself, Sergeant.
Bom, vamos lá então. Gente, olha esses bichos. Olha essas criaturas, meu Deus. Vamos falar com eles aqui então, que está tudo resolvido graças à minha pessoa.
Captain, Hadrian, it would appear that the cabinet owes you our thanks for what you did for the city today.
Faltou Sam, né?
As well as an apology. Your concerns about the terrormorphs, well, consider them validated.
Thank you, ma'am.
Of course. I only wish we could have acted sooner. Now, today's events have only clarified our path forward in the eyes of the cabinet. You will have our full support in collecting the terrormorph data from the archives, as well as a subsequent investigation into the nature of these attacks. But to accomplish those goals, we're going to need the right people in the right places. As such, the cabinet has authorized me to reinstate you, Hadrian, effective immediately, to your former rank of Major. As soon as we've got the data in hand, we want you investigating these attacks and how to stop them. Will you do this?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'd be honored.
Excellent. But as you both made clear, for such an investigation to succeed, first, we're going to need someone to convince the Freestar Collective and House Varun to play ball. Someone...
essa pessoa vai ser eu, né?
The sorts of dangers the colonies and all the galaxy are facing right now. The cabinet wants you, Captain, to be that representative. We do.
We do?
We're willing to fast-track your citizenship upon collection of the data. So, will you help us?
Eu acabei de falar que vou. Ué, tem que ir, né?
I'm glad to hear it. Now, we, of course, won't be sending you in without the proper support. Deputy McIntyre in the Office of Interstellar Affairs will be your guide on gaining access to the archives. You should be able to find her in her office across the hall. And on behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our thanks. You're dismissed.
You've got the cabinet's full backing.
9.600. Caraca, gente, vocês pagam bem, hein? Caraca. Olha com a plate, Mac, ela vai...
A Vanguard captain. You... Yes, sir. I'll make sure they get what they require.
Nossa, esse cabelo não combinou com você. Eu tô tentando falar contigo.
My Vanguard Captain. Welcome to Interstellar Affairs. I'm Deputy Chief Diplomat McIntyre, Chief Yassine's second-in-command. I heard you were instrumental in protecting the city from the attack. You have my gratitude. I was also informed that you gave quite the presentation to the cabinet. Chief Yassine wants you to know the Interstellar Affairs Office is fully committed to this endeavor, accessing the Terramorph data and beyond. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure you have the tools you need. And that means first getting you into the archives. You do know what the archives are, correct?
Someone paid attention in current events. So, then you also know that it was originally managed by the 3 major galactic players. Access to the archives is only granted in cases of dire emergency, and requires a one-time use code from each of the 3 armistice signatories. UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varun.
Now, the UC is already on board, so that means we'll need to convince 2 people, the ambassadors of the Freestar Collective and House Varun, to hand over their codes. Get them both and you'll have your data. But that's a lot easier said than done.
I couldn't agree more. However, both ambassadors have reasons they won't, or can't, work with us. Now, I'll provide guidance on how we believe you can acquire each code, but ultimately, it'll be up to you to get them both to cooperate.
And I do mean cooperate. Threats and violence are off the table here. Though that doesn't mean we can't get creative.
But it does mean we need to get you up to speed on who you're dealing with. Who do you want to start with? Ambassador Radcliffe of Freestar, or Ambassador Balmore of House Varun? The good Ambassador Radcliffe. She's a veteran of the Colony War, and her only goal in life is to make ours miserable.
Well then, hope she's doing a good job.
Now, officially, our office is suggesting you try and negotiate with her.
Use your experiences as a member of the military and with the threat we're facing to convince her to lend her support.
And who knows? Maybe that'll work. Stranger things have happened. But my suspicion is we're going to have to rely on other tools to get her code.
Certainly. See, good diplomacy is all about the careful application of pressure. We just need to find the squeeze.
UC Intelligence has a recording device planted in the ambassador's living quarters, which we suspect you can use to your advantage.
But getting caught trespassing is a quick way to land yourself in an embassy holding cell.
So, if you are going to try and access the device, you're going to need to find a way in there without being seen.
Now, we recovered some intel we believe should be able to help with that. But there's also a disgruntled staff member you might be able to pump for information. Maybe even convince to work with you.
All right. Here, your diplomatic ID. I'll give them a heads up you're on your way. Not likely to let you through the door otherwise.
And take these. Chief Yassine wanted you to have some options on how to proceed in there.
Ambassador Balmore's a challenge. When the rest of House Varun retreated into seclusion shortly after the signing of the armistice, Balmore stayed here. He's since lent his support to a small number of archival requests, so there's real hope he might again. Though claiming to know how a member of House Varun thinks is a quick way to earn yourself a psych eval.
I wouldn't be so sure of that.
Of course.
Sam, fica quieto. Deixa eu sonhar pouco.
We're not 100% sure Balmore's actually still alive. His public appearances were always rare, but it's been several years now since he last poked his head out. Scans of the facility show life signs, but not the kind we were expecting.
Your task is to find him and kindly but firmly remind him of his duties under the armistice.
I have no doubt.
Now, the embassy front door isn't an option, but our spies have stated there's a side entrance that should allow you access.
Entrada lateral.
This device should get you all the way down to the embassy interior. Once you're inside, though, Finding the ambassador is going to be up to you. And fair warning, we received a report that alarms might have been tripped inside the embassy during the attacks. Watch out for automated security in there. Now, if you have additional questions or require clearance for a new approach we haven't already discussed,
Acho que eu não quero saber mais nada.
ask. I'd suggest you start with Ambassador Radcliffe.
Radcliffe.
Approach her while the attack is still fresh in her and her staff's mind. Be smart out there, Captain.
Eu acho que eu vou deixar pra fazer essa outra missão depois, né? Porque a gente já conseguiu avançar bastante aqui, então eu acho que eu vou encerrar esse vídeo por aqui mesmo. Então eu espero que vocês estejam gostando da série Starfield. Vou pedir pra vocês avaliarem o vídeo e comentarem o que estão achando. Deixem dicas nos comentários, porque isso é sempre bem-vindo, tá bom? Caso você ainda não seja inscrito no canal, convido você a entrar e dar uma olhada nos meus vídeos. E se gostar, já se inscreve para ficar por dentro de mais vídeos de Starfield e de outros jogos ainda que estão por vir. Então, pessoal, esse vídeo vai ficando por aqui. Obrigada por assistir e até o próximo vídeo. Valeu e falou!
Turning truth to lies.